Hey, Carl. Yeah? We may have a problem.
I've been slowly putting this Luxie together over the last 3 years in between filming, traveling, and of course, saving up to fund the build. But today is a big one. To help speed things up, I've brought it to my mate's workshop and we are gonna finally, hopefully, get the engine started for the first time. It's been a long road to get here. I can't wait to show you. Come with me.
What are you driving, mate?
Mate, I'm driving a 1982 HiLux.
All right, I'm pretty happy with how the mock-up for the fuel system's going. Carl is still tinkering with the engine and thought it'd be a good time to catch you guys up on all the work I've gotten to get the vehicle to this point over the past 6 or 7 months. All right, so I thought I'd show you what I'm doing currently. Now, this is something you can also do when the engine's not in the vehicle, but I wanted to get it in the chassis so I could start measuring up some things for the gearbox. And you might be looking at this saying, what's all this goo in here? So what I've done is I've packed the oil pump with some Vaseline, some petroleum jelly. Now, when you first start an engine that's been put together like this or rebuilt, oil needs to get up to everything, and if it's not lubricated on that first start, you can cause a bit of damage. Now, it's worth keeping in mind you do a quick oil change straight after this, so this is just for the first start, and then obviously I'll be dumping the oil after a little bit of running to make sure she's squared away. But that's what I'm up to at the moment, so it's all in, ready to go. Next bit is the oil pump cover and everything. Now I can keep going, putting the engine back together. As you can see, there is a lot for me to get on with and plenty to tackle over the next little while. I'm going to look at this list, slowly tick through it and try not to get overwhelmed. Be able to strip back all this and give it a paint. I have put the cab back on. The engine still needs work. I've done bits and pieces to it. I still got to do some stuff inside, and there's obviously lots of things to bolt on still, but the main thing is a lot of that can happen once the turbocharger gets fitted. So for now, at least I've got it to this state so I can measure things up and then send the measurements to Ben. He can build the manifold and then I'll get the manifold, the turbo, put it all on and see how we're looking. Much more to go, but I haven't had the cab back on for a while and I reckon it's looking pretty schmick. Another question that I've been asked a fair bit is what turbo and manifold setup we've gone with on this vehicle. Now, I thought I'd show you. This is a Pulsar turbo. Now, this one is a 5455. The reason I've gone for this, well, 2 reasons. It should be plenty for what this engine's gonna do, and also it fit within the budget. They're actually pretty well priced for what I got, and then that was all put together with that manifold down there as well by my good mate Ben Doswell, Dosfab down in Victoria, and then Carl over here tigged up all the pipework in here through the intercooler. And oh yeah, that one too, thanks mate. And I reckon that should work pretty well. I reckon this car's gonna go pretty hard.
It's gonna hoot.
It's funny that this has, or will have, more horsepower than probably the Pony and my Saslux combined.
All right, so I guess we'll start at tail to turbo.
Yep.
Starting at the tailpipe. You will notice this little tricky removable clamp here. So that tailpiece actually comes off. If we do need to put a silencer in the muffler to quieten it further, it means that we can, and also retain the cool downturn tip.
That's also for when my morning cold starts and not annoying the neighbours, eh?
Exactly right. But yeah, it's all 304 stainless, all V-banded. Yeah, obviously flex joint where things can move as they both heat and expand, and also just, you know, body and chassis differences as you're driving down the road. Yeah, we've got a cat.
Yeah, up in there's a cat.
Yeah, so nice and close to the turbo, because obviously the closer to the heat source, the better the cat works.
Yep.
And yeah, also done a whole bunch of intercooler fab. So
yeah, it's a work of art up there, the stuff you've done with it. And you also plasma cut your own end tanks for the intercooler as well.
Yeah, it ended up being a full custom jobby.
Yep. So that's what you've done so far, where I haven't been annoying you trying to practice my welding on the thing. But here's the plan, all right? Here's what I'd love to do.
Right.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon we can get the engine started?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's give it a crack.
To do that, we need to do two things. Well, I have in my head two things. There's lots of mini jobs under there, but wiring and of course, fuel system as well.
Yes,
so
definitely.
Mate, why don't we start on the fuel system, and then once we get a bit of a headway with that, I can start hacking into the wiring with the Haltech I bought. So let's look into it, eh?
I reckon so. So I'm just looking at one of the jobs on Jock's quite extensive list. Just got to do a couple of mounts to get this coolant hose mounted to the engine and both the chassis as well. So just gonna have a think where I can mount it, and I'll probably draw something up in CAD and cut it out on the plasma cutter.
Whilst Carl's tackling a few projects on the engine, I'm going to start working out where the hard line for the fuel system is going to run along the chassis. Now, when you buy hard line, it comes in a nice big roll and you can straighten it out, but sometimes it's a bit hard to work with, and you want to figure out roughly where your bends are before you then go and bend up your nice new line that you've got. To do that, a handy little trick that I use was get yourself some welding wire, and you basically just want to mock up the path roughly of where your fuel system goes. And then I can join it to some other stuff and work my way back.
I'm just about to put this little bracket that I cut on the CNC plasma.
Oh, that's nice.
So that'll basically go on your alternator mount.
Yeah.
There.
Yep.
Well, actually, we can just lacquer in. And then this hose will bolt up like that.
So that's for the bottom radiator hose for the 3RZ.
Yep.
It's all the way over there.
And then now that's mounted, I can pretty much move to the top side and get a top mount sorted, and then that's another thing off the list.
So when we said wiring and fuel system, as you can tell, there are probably, hundreds of other little jobs to do in this car to get
Yeah,
it.
most of them we haven't even found yet, to be honest.
Yeah, that was a new one. It's like it's like a present at Christmas. You find a new thing you got to do.
Well, it's like a puzzle, but it's missing half the pieces. That's a better analogy.
That's kind of what we ended up with. Now you'll be able to bend this to suit, but you can see the important thing is these little kinks are kind of on the same spot. So what I'll do is I'll put this in the car, see how it looks, and because it's alloy hardline, you can kind of bend it a little bit to suit, or go test fit it. You can see it comes down along there and then up into the filter, and then now I've got to do the rest of it all the way along. This will be secured obviously, and there'll be a little olive and a clamp on there for it to fit in there. That one line there, the easiest one, took me about 45 minutes. So yeah, I think I've got a bit of work to do. So here's where the lines have ended up. The one on the left is the feed, and the one on the right is the return. And what we're going to be doing is, where's my little AM fitting over here? He's going to sit like this, in there, basically facing that way, and then that fuel line needs to come all the way up to this little elbow on this injector rail. And then that means the engine pretty much has fuel. You're done over here, mate, or what?
Yeah.
Look at that.
So,
not bad.
Yeah, it's a bit, another little trick with these actually, I've made the hole bigger so that I can weld both layers of the sump and also this baffle to the inside of this so that we don't get any oil kind of leaking through the layers or anything like that.
I feel like probably one of the most common leaks on a turbo conversion is the sump oil return.
More often than not.
Yeah, for sure.
So I do have a full circumferential weld around the outside anyway.
That's a big word. What's that mean?
Oh, I don't know. I learnt it this morning. So I thought I'd throw it in.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, my boy's wicked smart. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, more of the same. Let's crack on.
Nice work, mate.
Look at that. And there you go. That is the line up to the injector rail, and it's not going to leak.
Remember this.
Now, when you're turbocharging a petrol engine in particular, there's a whole bunch of stuff you need to keep an eye on and monitor, and a lot of the time your factory ECU isn't up to it. So I've gone and bought myself one of these. This is a Haltech. These guys are pretty much the industry leaders when it comes to this stuff. Now, this is the new ECU. It's gonna be what's called a complete standalone harness. So basically this is gonna run the engine, and to do that, it connects to this wiring loom, and then I've got to connect all these to the engine. Yep. That's headlight, so that. Come here.
Yeah, it probably goes across the front of the rad. Or does...
That's passenger side.
Oh, okay, so each side does each.
So that's all that comes out of the passenger side. I'll be able to fit that through the Haltech loom, I think, through the Haltech Grommy, surely. Oh, it might be a bit tight actually.
Maybe, yeah. This is the perfect example of the may as well while we're here.
I wonder if it was a bit too ambitious to say we should get this car started.
No, you got to set really unrealistic goals.
You do. And then work, yeah. What is it? You rise to the level of your training?
That's right.
I'm not trained to do this.
And then you get further trained along the way.
Exactly.
That's the best part.
I don't even know what this does. Let's figure it out. All right, bit of an update. I am in the cab and I'm running the factory loom back in its position. Now this will have to come out again and I'll have to tidy it up, but this is just a test fit and so that we can do all the wiring for the Haltech loom as well, get it all working nice. We can put the dash in. But whilst I'm doing this, let me just squeeze out of here and I'll show you what Carl's up to. He's over in the corner and over here slacking off. What's going on, mate?
Yeah, I heard that.
What are you up to?
I am just welding on the blow-off valve fitting. So obviously part of engineering, can't have your turbo dosing like a SIG VL. So yeah, pretty much got to put a blow-off valve on, or a circulating blow-off valve.
Yep.
So this will basically recirculate the air in the charge pipe back into the intake pre-turbo.
So this is the pipe that goes from here to here. All right, mate, will you crack on with that? I'm just sorting out the wiring with the Haltech.
I'll see you tomorrow then.
Yeah, yeah, it's hurting my brain. Okay, so Carl and I have spent a little bit of time with all the Haltech wiring, figuring out roughly where wires need to go, and this is what we're looking at. Now, bear with us. This is a bit of a mess and probably looks a little bit daunting if you've never experienced this before. I mean, heck, I'm coming from diesels where you need like 3 wires to a fuel shutoff solenoid, and now we're dealing with this. So yeah, progress. Anyway, to roughly explain what's going on here, the Haltech loom that I've got comes with pretty much everything you need and then some. So like, for example, this one here is the main power, and then these ones go to each spark plug. Same over here, these are all the wires for the injectors, and what we've done is we've just labeled them. So that's your main power, then you got injector 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are all for sensors like cam and crank, idle air control, all that sort of stuff. So when you start breaking it down, it does start to get a bit more simple, is kind of what I was getting at, hey?
Yeah, exactly right. Just one wire at a time, and before you know it, you've got the whole thing nutted out and you're ready to start terminating, which we're probably pretty close to anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Get into it! Come on!
Hey, Carl. Yeah. We may have a problem.
What kind of problem?
I've just come under here to put the sump back on and the oil pickup, and I've just noticed.
Oh, I've just seen it myself.
Yeah. So there is that's the O-ring for the oil pump. I would have put that on like a year ago, and I wouldn't have seen that it pinched because of the sump. So which means I've got to take the whole front of the engine off.
Well, that's kind of a showstopper. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, there's plenty of other stuff we can do, but that's gonna stop us starting it. There's just too much time in that.
Yeah. Let me jump out. We'll have a chat.
Well,
What a stitch up. I'm so annoyed at myself. I did that oil pump probably a year ago. I think it's in this episode. Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that means for everyone at home, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see this thing run, but it's not going to be a year until this thing's running. So maybe in the next episode, definitely in the next episode, you can
hold him to it.
Yeah, this is going to be running, and I reckon we'll probably even have it driving by then as well.
Yeah.
So,
Mate, I cannot wait.
thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed bringing the Luxy back onto the channel. I've really enjoyed working on it with you as well, mate. So,
Likewise, brother.
We'll catch you next time on 4Drive 24/7.
All right.
A little bit more, eh?